Hi, welcome back to Ask the Professor with the Texas RV Professor, Terry Cooper. We are now at that point in the show where we are going to answer some of your questions. And our first question comes to us from Diana at Weslaco, Texas. And the question is, for full-time RVers, what are the important maintenance things we should be doing on a regular basis that we might be overlooking? Terry, take it away.
Well, Diana, let me just start by saying, let's start at the beginning. The main thing that we want to do is keep that coach secure, keep it dry, keep the water from coming in. And I'd start with the roof. We want to get up on that roof a minimum of one time a year, and we're going to be looking for the leaks around the front seam, around any of the vents, around the antennas, the air conditioners, anywhere that water can get in, because as you know, a little bit of water can go a long ways to damaging our rigs, and so we can have a major expense. And then we're going to come down to the sidewalls. Once we finish with that roof and you've gotten up there and done your walkthrough and looked around, we want to keep in mind that when we're up on that roof, the sealants that we want to use is a butylene type of caulk, not silicone, but a butylene type of caulk. And one of the brand names that you'll see out on the market is Dicor. And you're going to want to go scrape off the old stuff if it's cracked or weathered and put the new Dicor, the new sealant on. But you do not want to use silicone caulk. Silicone just doesn't bond to that rubber roof very well. Now, if you happen to have a fiberglass roof, silicone will work with it. But I have found, quite honestly, the Dicor works extremely well up on that roof. And so that's why I usually tell everybody, please just use Dicor or one of those butylene type of caulks on that roof. Then when you come down on the sidewalls and you're looking around the doors and the windows and things, the one area that I see over and over again that people seem to forget to check is on top of the windows or on top of the door. We do a great job of sealing on the sides, but we just seem to forget to do a sealing on top, because that's where the water rolls off the side of the roof, rolls down the sidewall, and penetrates around the windows and doors. We're going to want to check our slide outs and the trim work and the gutters and all those areas, because we're trying to keep the water from coming into the coach. So that's the first thing. Roof and sidewalls, we've got to keep the water infiltration down.
Well, it seems
Next
like
slide. I'm sorry, go ahead.
those are kind of like those are sort of your first lines of defense on the coach, basically. The roof and sidewalls,
Most
and
definitely.
dealing with these exterior issues, because the exterior protects everything else. So,
Most
and I think
definitely.
that people very often are concerned about accessories and whether certain things
Yes.
are working inside. But if the rain comes in, a lot of things don't work. So
That's right.
uh,
Well, and many of these insurance policies that we have on our rigs, if they can show that we didn't do our maintenance, they'll deny the claim. So you can
oh,
have a
okay,
horrendous water damage issue, and they just look at you and say, sorry, it was a maintenance issue.
right,
Now, if
yeah,
you can show them to where maybe there was damage because maybe you backed into a tree or something like that, or maybe a storm got and tore the roof open, then that's usually what we call a covered peril. But in most cases, if we're not doing our maintenance and up there on that roof and around those sidewalls,
right,
sealing it and keeping that water out, they're not going to cover it.
yeah.
And so a little insurance you can have is a wonderful thing, but we have to do our part as well to keep that water out.
Okay, so what else should we be looking at here? Next slide is RV appliances.
Well, if you go ahead and bring that up, and let's look at that one, because there's several different things that we need to talk about. And probably the one area that I see over and over again is that here again, we run it till we fail it, till it fails on us. And that's not the time to be looking at these pieces of equipment like that, because these are very expensive appliances that you have. I mean, you look at an air conditioner, what the cost it is to replace that. Look at a water heater. And that's why I always tell the full timers, please flush the tank of that water heater. In other words, pull the plug, run all the water out, flush new water in to bring out all the sediment that's in the bottom. Do that 2 times a year minimum. If you're someone who just goes out once or twice a year and then you bring the rig in, please take the time to flush that tank when you bring it in and you get ready to put it up for the winter.
Now, is that because as you travel that you end up using water from so many different sources that obviously, I mean, water, we think of water as water, but it's chemically different depending on where you're getting it, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, certain parts of the country, we have a lot of iron and minerals in it. Other parts of the country, we see a lot of lime.
Right.
And if that lime starts coating things on the inside of that water heater, then pretty soon we're having to apply more heat to that water heater to get it to give us the hot water that we're asking for.
Right. Yeah.
So doing a little flushing, we extend the life of it. Dave, having worked as a service manager, I have seen people bring their RVs in and they want us to take a look at their water heater because something's just not working like it used to. It just doesn't seem to get as hot. And we pull out the drain plug and no water comes out because all the sediment's built up in the bottom of that tank. And here you are with a coat hanger trying to get that thing to break loose, and just big old chunks of calcium and metal come out of there because it's stuff that had been suspended in the water.
Okay. Good. All right. So what? Anything more about appliances in this that we're
Well,
talking about here?
the other big thing that we need to look out for is we need to do a maintenance on the appliances, particularly if they have propane. Something about insects, they just love the smell of propane and the odorant that's in that gas. So I've seen dirt daubers, or some parts of the country we call it mud daubers, wasp nests, spider webs, all those things build up in that burner assembly. So by keeping those babies out of there, you can keep that thing going. I mean, I've had people bring a unit in and all we did was just take an air hose and blow it out, and they had to pay a service call for that. And there's no need in that because these are things that we can do ourselves if we'll just learn how, take the time to do it, and resolve a ton of issues.
Okay. All right, great. All right, we have another question here, which is, it's time for the purple monkey question.
All right, purple monkey time.
You know what? We need to explain this because this is a feature that we're going to have on Ask the Professor called the purple monkey question. And this is actually a question that goes out to you at home to answer. Let's explain what's the purple monkey question, and it's on the slide that I have up right now. It's a big, hairy problem that seems to have no answer due to distortion of the facts. Now, what do we mean by distortion of the facts?
Well, you know how it is when you're talking to someone and you say something to them, and by the time they relay that information onto a third party or a fourth party, the information gets a little distorted.
That's it.
And that's what we see. I read so many of the forums sometimes, and people, they mention, go do this, or this is my problem, and then by the time I read it, I'm thinking, my gosh, please don't do that. Somebody's going to get hurt. And all it was a distortion of facts.
Right.
And what we're going to cover in these upcoming episodes, we want to be able to share some of these purple monkey questions that I've encountered, but also I'd like to ask you folks, I know you happen to have some of those purple monkeys that seem to linger at your coach, so send those in so we can visit with you about those and share this with the world.
Yeah, help us help you clarify some of those burning questions that you've been having. But here's the purple monkey question for this week, and it is, why does the television go off when the toilet is flushed? Now, come on. Seriously?
Most definitely. There's truly was a lady that came in, and she had a Class C motorhome, and she could sit there on the couch, watch television with her and her little poodle, and when she got up to go flush the toilet, television go off. So the question is, what would cause a television to go off? I mean, we're talking two totally different systems. We're obviously dealing with a water system and electrical system. So, but trust me, they are interconnected there. So the distortion of the facts is that, yes, it does happen. And what can we do to fix this problem?
Yeah, and the answer is not that some water splashed out of the toilet onto the television, probably, right? That's not the answer.
Afraid not.
Okay. All right, so here's the thing. If you want to take a crack at the purple monkey question, send us your answer and a picture of yourself to professor@rvnn.tv. And the first person that gives us the correct answer to the purple monkey question gets an official purple monkey salute from the RV professor and myself. So put your brains to this question. Why does the television go off when the toilet is flushed? And give us your answer to the purple monkey question. You can also contact the professor, of course, with any question. Again, send us a picture to professor@rvnn.tv. You can make a comment or ask a question about the show, make a suggestion for upcoming episodes, also by calling 1-877 578 RVNN and asking and connecting to extension 708. That'll put you right into the professor's voicemail. You can also follow the network, of course, on Facebook, Twitter, and Flickr, and get up-to-the-minute text messages by texting RVNN to 72727, and that'll keep you up to date with the show and keep you connected with our RV Newsnet community. That wraps up this episode of Ask the Professor. How do you feel about today's episode, Terry? How did it go?
I think it's going to be interesting to see. I'm really kind of curious to see what the response is on the purple monkey.
There we go. Yes, I think that's important.
I have thrown this question out at several RV shows, and it's amazing the responses that come back. And some of them I'm thinking, where did you come up with that?
Yeah, right.
So I'd be kind of curious on that.
So if you send us an answer that isn't correct, we promise we won't embarrass you with it, but we may share it anyhow. But the winner will get the full Purple Monkey salute and, as they used to say, all the rights and privileges appertaining thereto, okay? So you get whatever those are. That's all from us at Ask the Professor. For me, also for Terry Cooper, take care, and we will see you next time. So long, Terry.
Bye-bye now, Dave. See you guys later.
For more TV like this from the world of RVs, head to RVNN.com.